Few items which have caught my eye in the last couple of days then. Apparently North Korea is staring down its worst drought in a century, and the United Nations has warned of the possibility of mass starvation. Difficult to know what's going on in the so-called Hermit Kingdom. One thing the North Korean regime does to generate cash is to supply labour outside of its borders, mostly working in construction. I was watching a report on the BBC's website talking about North Korean workers in Vladivostok, that's in Russia's Far East. And to understand, some human rights groups have labelled the use of North Korean workers in eastern Russia as a form of slave labour. I don't pretend to fully understand the relationship which exists between Russia and North Korea. Does the regime in Moscow care about the human rights of North Korean workers? I strongly suspect not. Moving on, Xinjiang province of China, predominantly Uyghur, which is one of the 50-something recognised ethnic minorities of the People's Republic. So the same allegations made last year were again made this year. That is, Chinese authorities ordered people not to fast during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Modern Uyghurs are predominantly Muslim, if you didn't know. Allegations of religious persecution by the Chinese government are routine, and the communist regime routinely denies this. There's an opinion piece on Al Jazeera America's website by one Usaid Siddiqui, a Canadian-based freelance writer. To quote from the piece, "The Muslim character of the conflict in Xinjiang is but one aspect of the Uyghur people's long struggle for freedom and autonomy." End quote. There has been a strong separatist movement in the province for a very long time. Maybe some journalists and media sources have been guilty of trying to portray the tension and violence in the province as simply a case of the communist government versus Islam, but the reality is not so one-dimensional, I would suggest. Ethnic tension exists, suspicions and long-held grievances factor into the equation, and as the writer points out, there isn't much in the way of independent reporting going on within Xinjiang. If there were, maybe we in the outside world would have a clearer picture of what's going on. Yeah. To Saudi Arabia for our next item, where a school was recently fined, with one school administrator being jailed after a rainbow was painted on the school. The rainbow being a symbol of homosexuality or LGBT rights. It's a rainbow. It means different things to different people. This is so stupid. Rainbows are gay and therefore have no place in a virtuous country like Saudi Arabia. Pathetic. Yeah. Alright, last thing. Who is Jeremy Corbyn? He is the current frontrunner in the Labour Party's leadership race. I understand Tony Blair doesn't like him. I don't like Tony Blair, but that's besides the point. Corbyn seems to be more popular with the trade union affiliates than other leadership candidates. Corbyn, he's a socialist. Writes a weekly column for the Morning Star. That's a left-wing British paper, if you didn't know. How left-wing is Jeremy? Do some reading, watch some of his speeches, you might be surprised. He's not a young man, but that in itself doesn't put me off. Could I see him doing battle with Cameron in the Commons? Yeah, I could. But the Labour leadership race is far from over, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. On that, I'll bid you a fair and pleasant day, folks. I will see you next time. Peace.